My mother-in-law invited all her friends to my house during the New Year's party and insulted me in front of them. She even told me to stay in the storage shed. My name is Sarah. The sound of laughter echoed through the house as I rushed around, adjusting decorations and setting out food. It was New Year's Eve, and I was determined to make the evening perfect. My husband had insisted on hosting the party, and although I wasn't thrilled about it, I wanted everything to go smoothly. That was until my mother-in-law arrived. She swept into the house like a storm, her voice loud enough to command attention from everyone. Her bright red dress and overly dramatic jewelry clinked as she gestured at my decorations with a disapproving sneer. "The party? This is what you call a party setup?" she said loudly, her eyes scanning the room. "It looks like a child decorated this place." I forced a smile and swallowed the lump forming in my throat. "I've done my best to make it nice for everyone," I said quietly. "Oh, sweetie," she replied with a sarcastic laugh. "Your best is, well, let's just say it's an acquired taste." Her friends followed behind her, giggling at her remarks as they helped themselves to the drinks and appetizers I had worked so hard to prepare. My cheeks burned with embarrassment, but I tried to hold my ground. It was just one evening. I could survive this. As the party went on, my mother-in-law's insults grew sharper. She commented on everything: my outfit, my cooking, even the music I had chosen. Each word felt like a dagger, but I didn't let it show, at least, not until she said the one thing I couldn't ignore. In the middle of the living room, surrounded by her friends, she pointed to me and laughed. "Why don't you just move into the storage shed? That's about all you're good for." The room erupted in laughter. My husband stood frozen, his face pale. He didn't defend me, he didn't say a word. I felt my heart sink. The laughter echoed in my ears as tears stung my eyes. Without a word, I turned and walked out of the room, my dignity in shreds. I locked myself in the bedroom and stared at the ceiling, trying to breathe through the overwhelming shame and anger. That night, something inside me shifted. Something inside me shifted. I had tolerated years of her cruelty, hoping things would get better, but this was the final straw. As the clock struck midnight and cheers erupted in the other room, I made a decision. I wasn't going to let her or anyone else treat me like this ever again. Tomorrow, everything would change. They just didn't know it yet. The next morning, the house was eerily quiet. The remnants of the New Year's party were scattered across the living room. Empty glasses, crumpled napkins, and a few broken decorations. My husband was still asleep, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I stood in the kitchen, sipping my coffee and staring out the window. The words my mother-in-law had said last night echoed in my mind. "Move into the storage shed." I clenched the mug tighter, my knuckles turning white. Enough was enough. I reached for my phone and scrolled through my contacts. A few months ago, I had met a real estate agent at a local event. At the time, I had taken her card out of curiosity, never thinking I'd need it. Now it felt like fate. I dialed her number. "Hello, this is Madison from Peak Realty," her cheerful voice answered. "Hi, Madison, this is Sarah," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I have a house I'd like to sell quickly." There was a pause. "Of course. Can you tell me more about the property?" I glanced around the room, picturing all the memories, both good and bad, that this house held. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Brookfield. It's in good condition and fully furnished. Madison's tone turned professional. "That's a popular area. If you're looking for a quick sale, I can schedule a visit today to assess the value." "That would be perfect," I said, relief washing over me. By noon, Madison arrived at the house. I gave her a brief tour, pointing out the key features without mentioning the emotional baggage attached to each room. Madison nodded approvingly and jotted down notes on her clipboard. "This house is in great shape," she said. "I can list it immediately. Given the market, I'm confident we can get an offer within a week, maybe even sooner." "That's exactly what I need," I said, trying to mask the urgency in my voice. As Madison left, I stood in the driveway, feeling a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. This was real. I was really going to sell the house and leave all of this behind. That evening, I told my husband about my decision. He stared at me, his face a mixture of disbelief and panic. "You're selling the house? Are you insane?" he shouted. "Where are we supposed to live?" "I don't know, and frankly, I don't care," I said, my voice firm. "This house isn't in my name. I'm done being treated like a doormat, and I'm done with your mother's insults." "But this is our home," he protested. "My family comes here all the time." "That's exactly the problem," I interrupted. "This is my house, and I'm not going to let it be a stage for your mother's cruelty any longer." He looked at me, speechless, for the first time. I turned and walked away, not waiting for his response. True to her word, Madison had an offer by the end of the week. It was a cash buyer who wanted to close the deal within days. I signed the papers without hesitation. On moving day, I packed my things quickly and quietly, taking only what was truly mine. I didn't tell my husband or my mother-in-law until the movers had loaded the last box into the truck. As I stood in the empty living room, I left a simple note on the counter. "The house is sold. Good luck." The fallout was immediate. My husband called me repeatedly, leaving voicemails that ranged from pleading to angry threats. My mother-in-law's voice was even shriller, accusing me of ruining their lives and demanding I fix this mess. I didn't respond to any of them. I had already started fresh in a cozy apartment across town. It wasn't as large as the house, but it was peaceful, and it was mine. The final twist came when the new homeowners contacted the police about an intruder trying to access the property. My mother-in-law had shown up, demanding to be let in, only to be turned away by the new owners. The humiliation was enough to keep her away for good. For the first time in years, I felt free. The weight of their expectations and criticisms was gone, and I could finally breathe. I started focusing on myself, picking up hobbies I had abandoned, and even enrolling in a local art class. The pain of their betrayal didn't vanish overnight, but each day felt lighter than the last. Selling the house wasn't just about leaving a toxic environment, it was about reclaiming my life. As I sat on my new balcony one evening, watching the sunset, I smiled. I had turned their cruelty into my freedom. They had tried to tear me down, but I had risen higher than they ever imagined. The peace I had found in my new apartment was intoxicating. For weeks, I relished my solitude and the quiet freedom of living without constant judgment. But life, as it often does, had a few surprises in store. One morning, while sipping coffee on my balcony, my phone buzzed. It was Madison, the real estate agent. Her cheerful tone had a hint of hesitation. "Sarah, I hope I'm not bothering you, but something odd happened," she began. "The buyers of your house just contacted me. They're saying someone's been trying to claim ownership of the property." I stiffened. "Who?" She sighed. "Your mother-in-law. Apparently, she's been insisting the house belonged to her and that the sale was illegal." My heart sank, but then I laughed bitterly. "That's ridiculous. The house was in my name. She has no claim." "Exactly," Madison said. "Don't worry. The new owners have all the paperwork, and they've filed a formal complaint against her. But I thought you should know." It was typical of her to try something so audacious. Still, it felt like a ghost of my old life was trying to haunt my new beginning. A few days later, I returned home from my art class to find someone sitting outside my building. At first, I didn't recognize her. She looked smaller, frilier than I remembered. But as I got closer, her sharp eyes gave her away. It was my mother-in-law. "What are you doing here?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. She stood, clutching her handbag like it was a lifeline. "I need to talk to you." "I don't think we have anything to talk about," I said, stepping toward the door. "Wait," she cried, her voice cracking. "Please, Sarah, I'm sorry." The word hung in the air, foreign coming from her mouth. I turned slowly, skeptical. "Sorry for what?" "For everything," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "For the way I treated you, for what I said at the party. I was wrong." I folded my arms. "And now you want something, don't you?" Her face crumpled, and she nodded. "The new owners have filed a case against me. They're demanding damages, and I don't have the money. I thought maybe you could help." I stared at her in disbelief. You humiliated me, told me to live in a storage shed, and now you want me to help you? Do you hear how insane that sounds? I have nothing left, she sobbed. Your husband, he won't even talk to me. Please, Sarah, I'll do anything. I thought about all the years I had spent enduring her insults, the New Year's party that had been the last straw, and the freedom I had worked so hard to claim. There was no part of me that wanted to go back. I'm not helping you, I said firmly. You brought this on yourself. But she began, but I cut her off. I tried for years to earn your respect. I cooked for you, cleaned for you, and welcomed you into my home, and all you ever did was tear me down. I owe you nothing. Her tears turned to anger. You'll regret this, she hissed. Goodbye, I said, turning and walking into the building. I didn't look back. The encounter with my mother-in-law shook me, but it also reinforced the strength I had found in myself. She had tried one last time to manipulate me, and I hadn't let her. That was a victory in itself. Weeks later, I received an email from Madison. The new owners had won their case against my mother-in-law. She was ordered to pay damages and was now under investigation for other legal issues stemming from her attempts to falsify claims on the house. It was the final chapter of that part of my life. As for me, my art class blossomed into a new passion. I started selling my paintings online, something I never thought I'd have the confidence to do. My apartment walls were filled with bright, bold colors, a reflection of the life I was building for myself. I was free, truly free. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed Sarah's journey and the twists in this story, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another inspiring story. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What would you have done in Sarah's situation? Drop your comments below. Your support helps us bring more stories of courage, resilience, and triumph to life. See you in the next video.